say, hey guys, this is Claus. How do you like that for an intro? Huh? The channel is getting high tech. Well, that's the new channel ad. I won't make you watch it every time, but hey. But we're here today to talk about the changes to the light tanks and the new light tanks in the 9.18 patch to give the no bullshit Claus opinion. And we're going to watch Fully Sick in his AMX ELC BIS play while we do it. And what a way, a perfect game to show you while discussing the light tanks, because you will never ever see a game like this again. And what do I mean by that? Well, the new changes to light tanks and the new light tanks, it's all, a lot of shit happening, but there is a few little secret changes that were snuck in there that I'll tell you about here. I'm not going to go through all the stats of all the light tanks and all the new ones and every little bit of statistic. If you want to know that, there's lots of channels you can go do that on, but I'm going to give you my opinion of the new light tanks. And so what's happened is that if you had tier 8 light tanks, all nations that had tier 8 light tanks, now they've become tier 9 light tanks. And now there are tier 10 light tanks you can get. And there was lots of videos and lots of talk about, how they were on the test server and whatever. But now that they're out and I've looked at kind of the stats, I haven't played any, but I've looked at them. And basically a tier 10 light tank now is kind of like a shit tier 10 medium tank, basically. So any tier 10 light tank of any nation that has them is kind of like a worse version of that nation's medium tank. And the only real strength, if you love light tanks, the only real strength of these things is they have camo. They retain their camo on the move. Everything else about all the light tanks I've looked at is kind of like a shit version of the medium tank. For instance, you get the Russian tier 10 light tank. It retains its camo on the move. Is the only strength it has above any of the tier 10 Russian medium tanks. It doesn't even get better view range, but that means almost nothing. Let me explain this. If your tank has an extra 5 or 10 meters of view range, so instead of 410 it has 420, that's, as a percentage is almost nothing. The bigger thing is if you retain 25% camo on the move instead of having 8 on the move. That's a huge difference. So the only strength of the new tier 10 light tanks is that they have camo on the move. Everything else, the guns, the pen, the armor, the hit points, everything else is like, why the fuck would you even get them? Just get yourself the tier 10. Like, would you rather have at the end of the game the new tier 10 French light tank or a Bat Chat? Look up the stats and see for yourself. The Bat Chat has it beat in every category. Or would you rather have a new Russian tier 10 light tank or an Object 140? Huh? Yeah, it's a no-brainer. The medium tanks are far superior than some of the medium tanks actually have as much camo stationary than the new light tank. So if you're a light tank, one of those light tank addicts, like I love light tanks, I'll get them. But they're going to be harder to carry games in than the medium tanks. But the real thing, the real story of this light tank 9.18 is the fuck you up the ass changes that were made. And that's why we're watching this AMX ELC BIS in this game, because you will never see this again. A couple of the things that were changed that you might not have known, and this is the important stuff here. Let's say you had an AMX 1390 tier 8. Right? It's been moved up to tier 9 now, but gets regular matchmaking, so that's okay. But now when you get out there and you play your AMX 1390 that you used to love, and you'll realize, hey, wait a minute, I used to get 6 shots in my autoloader, and now I only get 4. Why did that happen? Well, that's the fuck you up the ass change that was made to the light tank in the French line. Why not? Or if you had a Bulldog, right? That tier 7 Bulldog, and you had the 11 shot or 10 shot clip or whatever the hell it had, the Bulldog, and you love playing the Bulldog. Well, it's been moved up to tier 8 now. Okay? So you roll out in your Bulldog, it gets tier 8 normal matchmaking now, so the same matchmakers, okay, I'll play my Bulldog. And you realize your 11 shot autoloader is now fuck you up the ass 6 shots. Because why not? Why not make some secret changes? And the ELC BIS, the AMX ELC BIS, that tier 5 beautiful little tank that we're watching here, just reset this cap. This little monster that the light tank addict, the light tank unicoms that loved the cult following that this AMX ELC had, right? The tiny little tank with no armor and no turrets, so difficult to play. The only thing this thing had was a great gun with a 170 pen and 240 alpha, a 248 pen on the premium ammo, right? And shit aim time, but that was the only strength of this, and you could fight tier 8s with this thing. Well, you don't have to fight tier 8s anymore. You got regular matchmaking, but did you notice when you roll out in your AMX ELC BIS that now you're a little bit slower, and your gun, it doesn't have 170 pen anymore. It has 120 pen, and the premium round has 150 instead of 248. The premium round was nerfed almost 100 fucking pen. The AMX ELC BIS is now one of those tanks that you're just going to grind through, because who the fuck would want to keep it? And you're never, ever going to see a game like this in the AMX ELC BIS ever again. The light tank aficionado go-to tank that some unicoms love to play has been just fucked in the 9.18 patch update. It's been rebalanced, which in Russian means fuck you up the ass. You like playing that tank? Fuck you. Get a different tank. Don't play that don't play 1,800 games in a tier 5 tank. It's shit now. Buy a fucking Defender for 80 bucks. That's what we want you to do, because if you want a great tank, you gotta fucking buy it now. Yeah, the only good light tank now, the one that's retained, they couldn't change that, the German the German Bulldog, the M4190. The M4190, the girlfriend tank, the M4190 GF, which is basically an RU-251. A little bit worse in every way than the RU-251, but pretty good. They didn't move that. That didn't get bumped up. It is not a tier 9. It's still a tier 8 premium light tank. Still gets, and it gets the good matchmaking now. And it has the 102 millimeter pen HE round. It has the 250 pen heat round in tier 8 now. And think about this, guys. The tier 8s that have been moved to tier 9 now, they're going to make less credits because they're not shooting higher tier targets. You get more credits and XP for shooting higher tier targets. So now the light tanks that have moved to tier 9, they're going to make less credits. You won't be able to use them in clan wars and strongholds, tier 8 clan wars and strongholds anymore, right? Because now they're tier 9s. Used to be T-54 lightweights and RUs were the big choice in clan wars and strongholds. So now if you want to play a light tank in clan wars and strongholds, you're going to have to play one of those shit tier 7s that was moved up to tier 8. But no one's going to do that because you can buy the M4190 GF premium German light tank, tier 8 premium tank. Or, hey, surprise guys, you've heard it first on Klaus's channel, but what do you think the chances are that there's going to be a whole new set of premium tier 8 light tanks on sale soon in the premium shop for you so that you can buy them and play them in clan wars and strongholds? You've heard it here on Klaus's channel. It's just a guess, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. The other thing is, like, why the fuck would you want a light tank at all now for? I mean, it used to be they got the worst matchmaking. They were always bottom tier, and you knew your role. Each team would get 1 or 2 light tanks, which would be bottom tier, and their role was to scout and spot for the team. And if you didn't like that, you just played medium tanks or heavy tanks. But now they get regular matchmaking. So what I've noticed is, let's say, I've played the RU-251, it's tier 9, and gets regular matchmaking now. So you end up, you get a team, and your team has 6 tier 9 light tanks now in a tier 10 game or tier 9 game, your top or middle tier. And if the enemy, the way the matchmaker works now, the enemy team, you get 6 light tanks, 6 tier 9 light tanks, And the enemy team gets, they only get 2 Tier 9 light tanks and 4 extra Tier 9 medium tanks. I've seen that almost every second fucking game now in the matchmaker. Basically, the team with the most light tanks loses because they're fucking useless compared to medium tanks now. And now let's witness the sad demise of this once proud Tier 5 scout tank that used to troll Tier 8s, which will now be just a regular piece of shit Tier 5. Rest in peace, ELC. The Tier 10 light tanks are not going to have that much of an advantage in detection over the Tier 10 medium, because you've got the Tier 10 mediums that have 410 meter view range, and some of the, oh look, let's watch this, Okay, the guy's shot, he's got some time, look at this patience, he does not want to miss, he gets close, stops, and gets him. Holy shit, and now he's got 2 guys in the cap. Come on, buddy, come on, fully sick, this is fully sick. The OSAM clan is watching with their fingers crossed while you sickly wing this game. But yeah, what was I saying? So the Tier 10, the new Tier 10 light tanks, the top view range is 420. Well, I mean, the Patton and the Centurion have 410 or 420 anyway. So, and the Russian medium tanks, the Object 140 and the T-62A and all the fucking Russian medium tanks, they have just as good camo as the new Tier 10 light tanks. They all have better guns and better armor, so, knock yourself out. Go play the light tanks, the Tier 10 ones, and you will have some epic games, and I'll show them. And the people that have epic games in those new Tier 10 light tanks, it's going to be through great skill and great use of detection and camo and view range circles like this guy, or it's just going to be fucking luck because, even a broken clock can tell the right time twice a day. Even a mental squirrel who's losing it can find the odd nut if he digs around like a lunatic all day. But yeah, it was so exciting, these light tank changes, but it's just another way to get a bunch of new tanks in the game. And you think you're better off because you get regular matchmaking now, but you're not, because you're outclassed by all the other classes of tanks, and you gotta go head-to-head one-on-one with them now. And the best ones have been nerfed to shit like this one, because now, with 120 pen, that would have bounced. He would have to spam heat or spam a PCR, and he's still... The new AMX ELC BIS has 120 pen now and would be having trouble penning this guy, right? And he'd have to move closer in for the kill and be detected and But now let's see him. Let's watch him. The last shot that you will ever see from the old AMX ELC BIS before it was fucked in 9.18. Look at this. Pool's medal, Kolobanov's medal, Defender, High Caliber, Tank Sniper, Top Gun. Take a good look because you'll never see results like this again, because some of the best light tanks in the game, the Bulldog, the AMX ELC, the AMX 1390, have been fucked in 9.18. And now you're forced to grind to Tier 10. But of course, you're going to lose credits grinding to Tier 10. So you better go out and buy a premium tank so that you can make some credits while you grind those Tier 10 light tanks. And when you get those Tier 10 light tanks, you'll probably wish you went down the medium lines. So that's Klaus's no bullshit opinion. But of course, the most important part of this video was that fucking intro, eh? You like that intro? Oh, I love that intro.